So this budget, like the last budget, emphasized China and Russia, and this request, as you touched on, Mackenzie, boasts the Pentagon's largest R&D budget yet at about $130 billion for new weapons like hypersonic missiles, but it would retire some other systems like the LCS, the Littoral Combat Ship, also the A-10, popular aircraft on the Hill, which defense officials have been arguing isn't relevant to a high-end fight. So there's some continuity here with this the administration wanting to divest from legacy, what it calls legacy platforms, to reinvest elsewhere. Can you guys talk about some of the divestments that we're going to see, and or some of the divestments that are getting proposed, and what kind of pushback we're seeing already or should expect to see, and maybe even what's likely to actually go through? Will the administration be successful?
Sure. So I think we're getting to one of the big questions, aside from inflation, that Congress is going to have to come to terms with, because the department has settled, it seems, on their answer. And that's, do you believe the Admiral Davidson window, right? That the possibility for Beijing to decide taking action against Taiwan is a 6-year, now a 5-year window problem, a here and now problem. I think Congress is very sympathetic to that view. This budget is not. And so that's where the two branches of government are diverging. And so that's how they can justify a lot of these divestitures. It is so much more than even the ones you've outlined, Joe. The Army, the Navy, and the Air Force all get smaller, older, and less ready in this budget. And you can take that risk if you believe that the challenges are further out into the future. Department leadership in the budget briefings talk about, how they took like a 3 fit up look at the problem. That's a 15-year window where they were trying to sort of shape this budget to think about, when they're not even going to have these jobs, the people who were making those decisions. So on one hand, that's kind of a laudable thing to do. On the other hand, I think Congress is looking around the world saying things are really bad now. So why risk capacity? Let's go. I'll just briefly touch upon, because it's all kinds of aircraft for the Air Force.
It's like 150 is the number that's
higher.
Higher than 150.
It's higher than that. I'm trying to pin it down myself as well, but I believe it's somewhere between 240 and 260 aircraft, not just fighters, right? So it's all
This
cargo.
is where having the detailed J-books matters.
Right, exactly. For the Army, it's rotary wing capability and Army vehicles. Not every vehicle, like there's some winners like the JLTV, but the rest are not. And then for the Navy, it's all kinds. It's not only the ships that are going to retire, which is 2 times greater than the new build, 2.5 times actually. It's
24
to 8.
Something like that. There's 24
retiring
Navy
ships
vessels.
to 8 new construction. Right. It's not 9, as Senator Inhofe tweeted about, which Congress said you're not allowed to do that in previous defense bills. I'm glad Senator Inhofe reminded.
What did they do? They double dipped. They kind of took credit for
one that was already.
It's already been authorized and approved, right? So it's 8 new construction ships, but then and the ships they're proposing to retire have so much service. One of the LCSs the hull's been in the water for 2 years. The amphibious capability. Combined, they have 25 years of service life left in them. Congress is not going to take this well. But then you look at the programs that are canceled or truncated or slowed. There's a lot of those, and they're only trickling out because of this, budget data that's only also trickling out. But I can give you a couple of different examples, like the LPD amphib. Right, so that program was supposed to be built of record to 42. This is the last year the Pentagon were proposed building it at just 32. So that's ending the program 10 ships early, for example.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I would say this is one where Mackenzie and I often can finish each other's sentences and agree on a lot of things. This is one where I think I disagree with that. That I think that it is smart to make a lot of these divestments. And I take your point about the timeline of the threat, especially with China potentially thinking it can take a move on Taiwan at 2025, 26, or 27. That's what people are saying in the intel community. With that point taken, I look at some of the divestments, and I don't think they would play in that scenario anyway. You're not going to use an A-10 in that scenario. It's not going to get anywhere near the fight. LCS, not going to get near the fight. I think that some of these platforms are things that are just wasting assets. They're great great platforms, don't get me wrong. Well, I can't even say that about the LCS. That was an acquisition mistake, right? But like the A10, great platform. It's just we don't need it anymore. We've got other ways of doing close air support. And you know what? Close air support is not a high priority mission in this strategy. If we're realistic with ourselves, it's not about putting large numbers of boots on the ground, moving in large formations, taking over territory, pushing out an enemy. That's not what you do in a fight with China. That's not the primary mission. So I think we do need to look at divesting some of these platforms. And honestly, I would say that even if the budget environment was completely different, even if we had an $850 billion budget, I would say still you need to divest the A10. And we ought to be investing that money elsewhere. And LCS, I mean, you got to, at some point, you got to stop throwing good money after bad money.